Welcome back to More or Less, your favorite sports show. I'm joined yet again by my great friends Gev and Marvin. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you, man. It's great to be back, bro.
So we're going to have to address the elephant in the room. Unfortunately, we're living through unprecedented times. We're not entirely sure if the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs are going to resume on Saturday for the NBA. And for hockey, they still haven't got back to us when they're going to start. Now, the NFL is supposed to start on September 10th, so we're hoping that the season will start. And MLB, I heard there is going to be a hiatus, but hopefully those guys can get back on the field as soon as possible. So with that said, our hearts do go out to the people that are affected by this, and we're going to do our very best to make sure that we stay objective and we keep you guys up to date. If you haven't already done so, please make sure you like, comment, and please subscribe because it really helps us grow our channel. Gentlemen, I'd like to start off with the NBA. Gebo, your former favorite team, the Los Angeles Lakers. Talk to me about the Lakers, man.
AD and LeBron stepping up.
Absolutely.
Finally got some shooting going, but still, like they need to get more consistent with the shooting. Like free throw shooting is still horrible. That's not gonna cut it. If they potentially end up playing Houston, which is record threes in a game, it seems like even more as
They
the
keep
games
breaking.
go on. It's just like what's going
They
on?
break the records. I think they
shoot
set.
like 83s in a game.
That's
Like
absurd.
it might be. We laughing now, but it might be a problem for the Lakers. I think the Lakers will pull it off if it comes down to it. Still 2-2 though. You know, I see them. Over worse, I thought OKC would win. I don't like the way OKC's playing, man. I really don't like the way
They
play.
did
It's
get
so
two on them.
disorganized,
But they got two on them, man.
They did, but again, without Westbrook.
And I totally understand that. I just don't see Russell Westbrook being a huge X factor. I know that sounds crazy because he puts up great stats in the season. I just don't. It's James Harden's team.
It is, but you're telling me Westbrook's not going to make a difference? I think a big enough difference for them to win that series.
It'll be that
And a
ball-
big enough
that ball
difference for them to
handling
give the
option.
Lakers a hard time, for the Lakers potentially to go 7 games, right? I don't think Houston's going to beat the Lakers.
But you
When
think
it
they're
comes
going
down
to push
to
him to 7?
I could definitely see that with the lack of the Lakers shooting and perimeter defense.
Perimeter
That's their
defense
worst nightmares.
Perimeter defense. Marv, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that this Portland series is done, and I know that I might be taking liberties
I
here.
guess it's not Dame time, bro. Apparently it's not Dame time.
Okay.
Guys. It's not Dame time.
You know what?
It's AD, LeBron
You know what? We
time,
were all
you know?
thinking it, and I know you guys are all thinking it as well. But
That's all I have to
somebody
say.
brought it up.
Yes, I had to bring it up.
Dame
I
Dollar.
had to. Bro.
you're going for it.
Come on,
All right, so for the people that don't know, at work, we'll hear Gebo, oh, Portland, oh, Dame, and I'm like, all right, bro. And me and Chris are like,
Oh, you brought
me
him
and
into
Chris
the
are like,
playoffs.
no, I feel you. Look, Damian Lillard, bro, you're a superstar because of what happened with everything that this guy that you named last time with a specific sports announcer that told you you're not a superstar, bro. You're a superstar.
You're a seasoned superstar.
Yeah, you're a superstar. Now we just want to see you do. We will actually want to see you do better. But you're going against the Lakers. You're going against our home team. I definitely want to see the Lakers do big things. Now,
I'm so sorry to cut you off. Real quick, since we're talking about Damian Lillard, is this the best we're going to see of him?
Yes.
I mean,
okay. When you have that many amazing games, his ceiling, he's exceeded, I think, what most people thought he was going to be. And he's playing out of his mind right now.
Definitely.
And honestly, he's hitting his prime right now. And he's playing fantastic basketball. But, I mean, I think this is a ceiling. It's a plateau.
I mean, he's going to need better teammates,
Yes.
man. The McCollum
supporting
thing,
cast.
I would trade McCollum at this point, you know?
Can you get something decent out of him? But draft picks? Because you're not going to, I mean, let's be real. You're just going to
But Lillard's going to be there for the long one, or either trade Lillard, man.
to where
I mean, every team is salivating at the idea. I would say 20 of the 30 teams are salivating at the idea of
I got
having
an idea.
Damian
Trade him
Lillard.
to Miami.
Ooh,
Him and Jimmy Butler.
That's
We
terrifying.
got
that's a
Adebayo.
terrifying team.
Now that is a it'll be a
That's a
fun
terrifying
team.
team.
Who are you gonna
Miami's-
give up? Who's Miami going to give up, though?
They're gonna have to give up Tyler Hero
Hero.
and draft picks.
And draft picks.
Yeah.
And
And
maybe
somebody
cash.
else.
And maybe cash. And maybe cash.
And cash.
Probably like Crowder too, someone like
You
that.
can take-
That's been like 8
That
teams.
guy-
Like
that guy-
that's like 2
He's the
years.
James.
Crowder.
is the definition. Jay Crowder is the definition of a journeyman. He's going to play on every team, and then he's going to retire. He's going to make a good amount of money. He plays his role very well.
Yeah.
He's a 3-and-D, but he's a big 3-and-D. which we're seeing more and more of now in this league.
Or they try to dump Iguodala's contract.
Andre,
We're just looking back at it now. You're like, horrible idea.
no,
right?
that's
Like
Memphis wouldn't. He's like, I won't play for you.
Play with John Moran and those guys.
Memphis wouldn't.
If
Memphis didn't want
Iguodala
him.
was not on Golden State, bro, I don't think he would have got half the money that he did, or the way that he got moved from so many teams.
So
He would have provided.
when he just said times that by $1 million for Draymond Green.
100 million. Hey, I've heard a lot of people.
These Draymond can shoot a three once in a blue moon, once a
blue moon.
bro.
But I mean, Andre Iguodala, there's moments where Iguodala can hit the three. I'm not going to keep that against him.
He just can't shoot free throws.
Absolutely. He'll miss the
Corner
first
threes
one.
all day.
Yeah, he'll
he
miss the
can't
first
shoot
one
no
for
free
sure.
throws. Like a Bruce Bowen.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I do want to start talking about the other Los Angeles team that has gotten a lot of hype. I am not sold on the idea of Paul George. And Marvin, I want to start off with you. What do you think about Paul George?
I feel sometimes he shows up to play, and sometimes he doesn't. He fades in that bench. Now, Clippers are so deep. That's what makes them dangerous. That's their strength. But, I mean, the consistency of George, right? Like, he's the number 2, right? He's your second superstar on that team.
Supposed to be. It's not working out that
Paul
way.
George, I mean, like,
Lou Williams is
when you
taking
start
that place.
relying on your bench, Lou Williams and Harrell, I'm like, okay, but aren't you the other superstar on that team, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what makes them so dangerous is strength in numbers. That is the team as a team. As they play great as a team. But Paul George, if they want to go all the way, beat the Lakers, or go to the finals, they're going to need a lot more from him consistently.
They better.
Yeah.
They're not going. I mean, they're going to need him. He's going to need to step up. Right? He had a great game last game. He redeemed himself a little bit,
He
dropped
did.
35.
Do you
We
see
need another, I'm not saying he needs to do that on a consistent basis, because he got a nice backup. He got a Lou Williams
But
who
what
dropped
does
a
he need?
cool 30.
I guess the question
A
I should ask you.
consistent 22.
Yes.
Okay.
A consistent
At least
22.
20 points every
At least 7 rebounds, at least 5 to 6 assists. Be that great defensive player that
Yes.
you're kind of known for too.
Yeah.
You know, he's a great two-way player.
He's known
not
as a two-way player.
But Kawhi is going to be Kawhi. We know that. They're deep, man. They're deep. Reggie Jackson's great off the bench,
So
but
they have the best. They have the best bench in the
yeah,
league.
they just ran into
Hands
a
down.
really
Hands
special
down.
player, and his name is Luka Doncic.
Speaking of Luka the Don, okay, so
Luka
Yeah,
the
look at
Don.
the
I
dot,
thought
like
I
that.
thought this kid was something special the first time I saw him. He's exceeded my expectations tenfold.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Who did you call when he hit that game winner?
I called you immediately. I called you immediately.
Yes, sir. I remember
I've been saying it. You guys, for the fans at home, I know you guys will remember this. I said I got a special place in my heart for Eastern European players because they're big and they play fundamental basketball.
And they don't like to cry.
That was the third point. That was the third point. But I will say this. That was when he took that shot. When he took that shot, this was my face. No.
I know it was going in.
Whoa.
I know that was going in.
35-footer.
Yes.
Reggie Jackson's not going to do
Hey,
anything.
he might as well say ding time.
Oh,
You should have Luka
Doncic.
Paul George again.
Look at
Wow.
time. Look at time.
I told you guys.
Luka's special, man. He's 20.
special.
I told you
different.
fans at home.
Hashtag Luka's different.
Yeah.
I told you guys. I'm not usually wrong, but when I am, I will correct myself.
This kid's gonna do amazing
The guys
things.
that were
in
down
the
by
NBA.
21. What 21-year-old kid would fire up their team and be like, hey, you know what, man? I'm not giving
I
up right
got
now.
this.
We're not
Yes,
giving up
I
right
got
now.
this.
We don't have our second best player.
Without Porzingis.
Without Porzingis, bro. Shout out to the surrounding crew that helped bring that comeback.
Yeah.
Guys like
Absolutely.
Seth Curry,
Seth
guys like
Curry's
Hardaway,
playing out of his
guys
mind.
like Trey Burke.
Yes.
I will say that Seth is playing more like Steph.
Come on.
No, he's playing.
He's playing good, man.
No,
he's playing good. He's
I
not
will
like
say
his
this,
brother, though.
but here's the thing. This is Steph Curry's ceiling that over the last couple of years, we've accepted that he's a top 10 player. This is Seth Curry's ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to elevate his game, even to this point, we're like, Seth Curry's playing more like Steph.
I think overall the Mavericks' depth is really like they
No,
can
they're deep.
shoot,
They're
man. You
working,
can't leave them
they're
open,
working.
bro.
You can't.
You really can't leave them open.
You know what I like to think of them
Well,
as?
they're
They're a tall Houston Rockets. They're a tall
Yes,
Houston
that's a
Rockets.
great way to put it.
Gentlemen,
That plays defense.
absolutely. Gentlemen,
Sometimes.
I would like to address the fact that the Philadelphia 76ers have given up on Brett Brown, and I guess
it's
is
about
it fair? Is it fair to say the process is dead?
It's dead. It's done.
It was-
It never worked. The process never worked. Closest thing they got was last year, and that was because of Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, Jimmy Buckets.
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Buckets.
That was it.
He's insane. Jimmy Butler is a great leader. He is a two-way player. He's the poor man's Kawhi Leonard. And Jimmy, if you're listening at home, that is a huge praise on your game. Being the poor man's Kawhi Leonard is fantastic. He's two-time Finals MVP.
The emotion that Jimmy Butler plays with, bro, is amazing. This guy just goes out there like, shout out to you, bro. Putting your money where your mouth is. You swept this team.
Yep.
You said that TJ Warren was not on your level, bro. You clearly played
Not even
out
a
of your
game.
mind and destroyed that team. You guys
Sabonis
swept them.
wasn't playing
One of
though.
the-
Yeah,
They
Sabonis-
fired their coach too, man.
Yeah.
Which wasn't fair, by the way. The Pacers shouldn't have done that.
Nate McMillan?
Yeah, don't fire Nate McMillan. What? Like, you don't have your key players. Good. I don't think they were going to beat Miami anyway.
No. But that would have been a series with Sabonis, I think.
Whoever picks up Nate McMillan,
He's a
you
great
got a
coach.
solid
He was a
coach
great
coming your
player
way.
back in the day,
You got
too.
a
He was a
solid
great role
coach
player on
coming your
Seattle.
way.
Yeah.
But I want to talk more about Boston. I want to talk about this young core of Tatum. Hayward is out, but Brown, Brad Stevens, in my opinion, he's the best coach in the NBA from the perspective that he'll take what he's got and he'll make those players significantly better on Boston than maybe if they were on their own. Because I do believe in Jason Tatum,
Yes.
and Tatum on any team
He's
would
special.
flourish, but I don't think the rest of these guys would.
That's true. I think that over the years, this young core has gotten better, especially under that coaching leadership under him. Because Jason Tatum is a star, but he's working with everybody else, and I feel like everybody's slowly getting better in a different level, like you said.
They're going to rise together. They're going to win together. And it's going to be led by Jason Tatum.
Absolutely. Elephant in the room. Gordon Hayward's contract. Who's going to take that contract?
Who would want
I'm
to,
not
man?
surprised that he's out.
God bless
again,
him,
bro.
man. First
Yeah.
game as a Celtic with that horrific injury.
That was
He just,
that was
unfortunately, he hasn't been, consistently healthy for the Celtics.
After that, he was
Right?
never the same.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. And
He
it
wasn't.
was so obvious. He would
Yeah.
have a couple games where
He
he's
had
like,
a couple games where you see that glimpse of the
absolutely.
past. where he was on
And then they
Utah.
would have a couple games like, did he play? Oh, he did play. Oh, wow.
You see 38
So
minutes and
old.
9 points.
Yeah.
Looks like Paul George. I mean, seriously. Okay. Guys, I do still want to talk about the Sixers, though. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, who do you keep? If you are the team owner, who do you trade?
I say you keep Joel Embiid. You keep Joel Embiid. Yeah,
Mark.
it's hard to have a player like that with that size that could shoot, man.
So
You can develop that.
You can
find the right
develop that.
coach.
No, you
Nate
can.
McMillan should go to Philly.
we looked him up. We looked up how some of Joel Embiid's stats. This guy's 7 feet tall, can shoot
250.
250. No, this guy's by far one of the biggest guys in the NBA. You would expect this guy to like bully his way, dunk it in your face. Next play, maybe a little step back, short, mid-range two. This guy can do amazing things with the frame and the God-given talent that's given to him. I think that he just a little bit too injury prone at sometimes
Yes.
and a little bit inconsistent. The minute that Ben Simmons can shoot that three consistently will make him a bigger threat than Embiid.
I think it's fair to say that Ben Simmons will never be a decent three-point shooter. But I will say this.
No, you could always learn to shoot, man.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you
Not
could
at
be a
this point.
decent-
Ben Simmons has
I
been
disagree.
Ben
I disagree.
Simmons.
Young,
I disagree.
think
Simmons
he
has
can.
been in the league for 3 years now, and he's taken like 4 3-pointers. At a certain point, if you're his coach, and I know Brett Brown, if you're listening at home, wherever you are, you needed to let these guys know what they had to do. And what you did was, hey, we're at home, we're just gonna win these games. And on the road, they were getting spanked, they were getting destroyed, obliterated. You should have told these guys, hey, if Ben Simmons, if you have the ball and you're at the 3-point line and your dude is sagging off 10 feet, you got to shoot it. I don't care if you miss every time. You got to shoot it.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, it will go in. It's like a 16-year-old kid that's learning how to drive a car. He doesn't want to get on the freeway because he's scared. At a certain point, you got to get that guy on the freeway.
Yeah.
You have to.
Because if you don't learn how to drive on the freeway, you're never going to do it. So another thing, though, I'm gonna go against what you guys said, though. I would keep Simmons. I would trade Embiid
Oh, so
because
keep
he is. Oh, you said you would trade
No, I'm
Simmons.
saying
I would-
Embiid.
I would
You said
keep-
you would trade Embiid.
trade Embiid, keep Simmons only if he can shoot that three, bro. It's gonna make all the difference for his game and the team. And I feel like the Sixers are missing that. Like Embiid is hurt, Simmons is out. They're missing a little bit of that leadership.
Well,
Like,
they
one
got
guy to-
Horford for stuff like that. I would
Okay,
think.
but he's a role player. He's not like.
No, I'm
they
talking
need
about
that-
leadership. I'm talking about leadership.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't expect him to perform. Even he actually did pretty well with Boston.
I mean, Al Horford, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken, he was an all-star with Boston.
Yeah,
Of course, but
even better with Atlanta, but he was still a decent player.
they're missing
Boston,
something.
You know
They're
what?
missing something.
Here's what they're missing.
They're
They
missing a
have
Jimmy
no
Butler to the
shooters. Philadelphia needs shooters, and what they did is they went and they got a power forward, a traditional power forward / center. It's like sometimes I think of these team owners, and I think you guys are stupid. You guys don't know what you're doing with your teams.
So
I
they
mean,
should have paid Redick.
I used to coach recreational basketball. If I didn't have enough kids on my team that could shoot the basketball, I would look and see who I can actually train to shoot the three, and I would say, hey, guess what? You're going to be the team shooter. I wouldn't say, let me go get another big. And nothing against that traditional, let's get bigs and let's have traditional point guards. Nothing against that. But in this league, if you want to flourish, you need shooters. And that's where the Lakers are in trouble as well. Speaking of shooters, I do want to talk about Houston a little bit. Do you think Mike D'Antoni's out if Houston gets knocked out?
I think if Houston gets eliminated again this year, why pick up a coach that's his style of play is proven to not win championships? I mean, you had the Phoenix, right? You had the Lakers, and now Houston. And with a player like Harden and Westbrook, like, fast, shoot, God, for God's sakes, I mean, the tallest player is Tucker.
6'5".
Yeah.
6'5".
Corner three galore.
Yep.
That type of play doesn't win championships. I'm sorry.
And I
So
completely agree.
Definitely.
might go coach
Do you think that he's
international.
working with him?
He might still get picked up, but like if I want to pick him up, I pick up a Nate McMillan instead.
Absolutely.
Solid coach.
Do you think he was just working with what he has though? For working since he didn't have any bigs,
Mhm.
he was just working with
No,
that
he
small
traded a big.
basketball.
Yeah, I mean, the team did, but it was probably he probably had to say so. They probably said, hey, coach, this is what we're thinking about doing.
And I admire the fact that he's trying to like a new system, kind of like a, like, hey, maybe let's try this, like all
Something
young,
fresh.
just shooters, and
Yeah.
it might potentially change the game. Remember the 7 seconds or less
But
thing?
it did. It did change the game.
But not,
not
how,
for
what
the
did it benefit for him? Steph Curry changed the game.
Yes, but it was the blueprint of Steve Nash. Steve Nash was the blueprint.
I see that blueprint. I understand.
definitely.
I understand it, but it doesn't correlate to championships as far as D'Antoni goes.
And I
You know?
completely agree
Yeah.
with you, and I want him out of the league, though. I'm going to go ahead and say, Mike D'Antoni, get out of the league. What you did for the NBA, I don't appreciate, and I want you to understand that 7 seconds or less, I want you out of the league. I want you in Europe. This is the same guy that I've seen Mike D'Antoni behind the camera. He doesn't even know what to refer to the basket as. He's like, that field gold. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? No, out of the league. Get
Do
out
you
of the
remember
league.
when they had to choose? Phil Jackson might have been his third comeback to be the Lakers coach, and
I
they
mean,
decided to
that's
go with him in 2000. That was with the Dwight Howard team.
Absolutely. That 2013 supposed to be a super team.
2012. Yeah.
I think Nash was 38. Dwight Howard just had
Bro,
back
he was
surgery.
40, bro. He was 39. He turned 40 that
He was
season.
40, even older.
Like it was.
Nash was 40.
They paid
Dwight
way too
Howard
much
just
for Nash. I'm not happy about
Dwight Howard came back way too early from injury.
Injury.
Surgery. Kobe literally carried the team into the playoffs.
To the playoffs as
And
the 8th
then-
seed.
And then you had Pau Gasol, who at that point was a little salty.
that. Yes.
And rightfully so.
Meta was still there too.
Meta was still on there. Well, let's call him Ron Artest. We know him as Ron.
It was rough.
We
know
I like the Ron
We grew
Artest
up
better
as
than
Ron.
Ron.
We grew up Malice in the Palace.
Malice in the Palace.
He was cracking skulls as Ron Artest.
I still to this day respect that guy as Ron Artest versus Meta World Peace.
Absolutely. Ron
I thought
Artest
he
is a
played
very
better
nice.
than
It's a
Ron
very
Artest.
nice, solid name. Meta World Peace was a little too loopy for my liking, but you know what? To each his own. At the end of the day, gentlemen, I do want to talk about our predictions, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, I personally think I'm gonna start off with myself. I think it's gonna be the Lakers versus Houston. What do you guys think?
I agree.
For sure.
I think that's gonna
For
happen.
sure.
That's fair, and
I agree.
I'm gonna go ahead and say
I think that's
I'm
worst
gonna
case
say-
scenario for
Probably true.
Lakers.
What's gonna-
for the Lakers, it's going to be worse because the Lakers are going to steamroll through OKC if they play them in 4. Forget that's not even going to be worth watching. Honestly,
JaVale McGee might take on Adams too. He's playing horrible for OKC.
Adams is playing bad.
Horrible.
The guy got paid. It just seems like a lot of these guys, you guys get paid and you guys just don't step up anymore. I don't appreciate that.
Well, the fact that he's so much bigger than everybody else. on
You
that
would think,
Houston
right?
team,
He's
Like, okay, if you can't give him the ball because everybody's too fast stealing the ball from him, why don't you lob it up to him and let him dunk it?
And that's what they're trying to do. But here's the problem: Adams is kind of like a step and a half too slow,
Just a little
and
bit.
that's what I'm seeing.
Just
But,
a little bit.
I appreciate that take. Clippers and Jazz. This is what I think. I think it's going to be the Clippers and Jazz. The Jazz are too much for the Nuggets.
Yeah.
I really was sold on the Nuggets this year, and I'm not going to
Hey,
lie.
shout out to
I'm-
Jamal
yeah,
Murray
Bobo,
keeping his team in
Murray-
it, man.
Murray-
Jamal
And
Murray
Jokic,
balling out of his
is playing.
mind, dude.
Jokic is playing well, but they don't have a third player.
They don't.
It's
you would think it
those
would be
two.
Porter? Too young?
Porter, I don't. Maybe in the
just
future.
young.
Maybe in the future, I could see him as a solid role player.
Yeah.
Plumlee, I mean,
No,
the list
no.
is short.
Oh, Paul
Bobo,
Millsap,
Bobo,
those guys.
But Millsap, look, my problem with Millsap is I feel like he's a seasoned giant. I think Paul Millsap is one of those seasoned giants. He plays really well in the season, and in the playoffs, he kind of shrinks. And maybe that has to do with his Atlanta days.
Maybe.
I
I
could
think he's
be-
on his way out of the league, too.
It could be. He's what,
Yeah,
30,
he's been playing a
33?
long
Go play in the
time,
Philippines or something, man.
No,
you gotta
Millsap
step it
is-
up here, bro. Like, you can't be playing like this.
No, you can't.
He was so good. Like everything you said, bro. The season, he's what, like 20 and almost.
No, he's he's like a 20 and 10. Consistent, consistent
And then the
20 and 10.
playoffs, like, bro, I haven't even heard his name.
He just disappears.
Rudy
The
Gobert
highlights,
stepped up, too.
Rudy Gobert is an
Rudy
animal.
Gobert.
I respect Rudy Gobert's game. He respects the
changed.
game. He respects the defensive end, and you don't see that a lot nowadays.
Two-time
And Rudy
defensive.
Gobert's a young man.
Bro, and
You
he's
don't
a true
see that
center.
a lot. He is a true center.
Yeah.
If
One of the
Gobert's pulling up,
few last true centers.
if Rudy Gobert's even pulling up for a mid-range, they're up by 20.
Mm-hmm.
So Clippers and Jazz. So safe to say that the Jazz are going to win. In my humble opinion, I think you guys agree with me. No. When I say the Jazz are going to move on against the Nuggets,
Oh,
not the Jazz are going to beat
I
the
thought you were
Clippers.
talking about against the Clippers. I'm like,
I'm
who
calling-
do you
I'm
know?
calling this. I'm calling this. Donovan Mitchell is going to play out of his mind. Kawhi Leonard's going to try to lock him up the best that he can, but they call that kid Spider for a reason.
Spider-Man.
He's going to be running circles
I
on
think
that
this,
Clipper team.
that particular series, if they do play if Utah goes on and they play the Clippers, they would miss a guy like a Bogdanovich right now,
Absolutely.
right? A
Absolutely.
Bogdanovich would be huge. So they need guys like Conley to step up, Ingles,
Everybody else.
and the main two guys, right? Gobert and Mitchell. Spider-Man's going to be Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's going to drop 40.
Spider-Man's
He's going to drop at least 40 twice.
Yes.
I'm going to call it now.
And we're gonna see at least one highlight dunk.
Hey,
We're gonna see at least one highlight dunk.
Marv, I do want you to talk to me a little bit more about the series, though. Do you think the Clippers are fast enough to keep up with the Jazz?
I think they're almost as fast to keep up with the Jazz. I think they're a really good defensive team. What I really want to see is them put it all together, right? You want to see them be balanced. Feel like one night Kawhi does amazing, the next night George kind of disappears in the end. But I mean, that bench is always going to keep them in there. Like having the best bench in the league. You know, you're obviously as a coach, as a player, you're going to kind of rely, maybe lean on them sometimes, especially in the playoffs.
But I guess the reason I'm asking specifically the speed, I feel like the
Jazz
Jazz
is
are a
fast.
good transition team.
Very-
I do feel like and here's
Especially
the
the
thing.
fast breaks.
Here's the thing. They do have Mike Conley back. Great pickup, by the
Yes.
way. They have Mike Conley
Yes.
back. They have Mitchell. They're missing Bogdanovich for sure. They have Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert slows down the offense. When Rudy Gobert is in, they have to slow it down.
Slow
He's
down.
7'2". By the time he literally runs his way, sometimes it's like Boban, you know? By the time he runs his way down there,
Yeah, it's
8
like
seconds
2-3
have
seconds,
8
yeah.
seconds have passed.
So, what is the next lineup, bro? What's the next?
So I'm gonna go ahead and say in the East it's
Can I
gonna
just
be,
say something real quick?
Yeah,
man?
absolutely. Go
I
ahead.
just want to say something.
Good.
I'm sorry. It was just bothering me all weekend. And with Paul George, I want to talk about Paul George for a minute. Everyone was calling him Pandemic P,
Pandemic team.
right? Because he calls himself a Playoff P.
Yeah.
More like
You're not
PG.
Playoff P. You had one solid game this whole playoffs. One solid game this whole playoffs. You need to step it up if you're going to beat the teams of either Houston or the Lakers or Utah.
Those are gonna be
Clippers
tough
might get
teams.
it done. I don't know, man. Like, do you guys feel like Clippers can get it done without him?
I want
When it's all said and done?
yes, absolutely.
Because
I
of how-
think
because of how deep
I
they
think
are.
of Paul George as this guy. He's just like Lou Williams, minus the fact that Lou Williams is actually outplaying him. No one thought Lou Williams was ever going to be a superstar.
The game on Sunday, you had like
But
9
I
points.
want to get this point across. Paul George, you're looking more like George Paul. And the person that actually coined that term is one of the ESPN analysts that I'm sure you don't like very much. But you're playing into all the things that they've said about you. There was one time in the playoffs, and that was 2013, where your Indiana Pacers team actually gave LeBron James a run for his money. And you pushed him to 7 games. And that's back when, I'm going to be honest, Roy Hibbert was your second best player.
Mm-hmm.
And that Indiana Pacers team, you were the team captain. You ran that show. But now that you're the second fiddle, I sometimes feel like you get a little upset. You're not better than Kawhi Leonard. You're still an NBA All-Star in the West. But the way you're playing right now is a disservice to your team. You gotta get whatever negative thoughts you got. You gotta get right with yourself, and you gotta play playoff basketball. Because if not, we're gonna call you George Paul.
I'll call him Pandemic Pete.
Pandemic Pete.
You know what I'm saying?
You pick, bro.
He had anxiety in the bubble. You're a professional. You get paid to play basketball.
Millions,
by the way.
You get paid millions.
You're in the 1%.
If I hit 70K
You call
this year,
yourself a superstar.
if I hit 70K this year, I'll be surprised. You make millions. You make millions.
Man.
You got it.
Get
You
it
got it,
together.
Well, that's crazy.
You got it, man.
Get it
You,
together,
hey, anxiety, I totally got you, brother.
Another
Get
game
a-
like that,
get
put
a
him
new
on the bench.
psychologist. Get
Put
a
him
new
on the bench.
psychologist.
You're-
We're not laughing about mental health is a serious problem. But get yourself a really good psychologist and a psychiatrist. If you need Ativan, my brother, get Ativan. Play. And I don't want to hear about that shoulder anymore.
Go fishing or something, man. Clear your mind.
Gentlemen,
Bubble.
I want to, before I get too sidetracked, I do want to talk about the Eastern Conference,
Yes.
which for the longest time was known as the Leicester Conference.
The least
And now it's actually a conference that's got legitimate teams.
Yeah.
Boston, I'm going to go ahead and say Boston and Toronto. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it to Boston in 6. Just because even though Toronto's got great defense, they got the veterans like Marc Gasol, and Siakam is playing out of his mind. Fred VanVleet is stepping up. Kyle Lowry, great veteran. I think Boston's too strong. They're too fast. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Boston in 6, but I could be wrong. Marv, I want to start off with you.
I almost would if everything wasn't falling into place for Toronto. I think because of the veterans, because they've been here before, and Siakam is playing out of his mind, Van Vliet, like you said, was stepping up. I just think they actually have the defense to stop Boston, or at the very least slow them down, so that they can play their game. So I say they're gonna go in 7, but Toronto will squeeze by.
So you
So
really?
Toronto in 7.
Wow.
I can say that.
Toronto
I can say.
in
I disagree. I think Boston in 7.
Wow. Okay.
And you know who's going to be the key player in that series?
Siakam.
Marcus Smart.
Really?
Marcus Smart, defensively.
No, I
and
was
threes.
piggybacking to his idea when I said Siakam, in my opinion. But Marcus Smart, great defensive player. I agree with that, and I understand why you would say that, because now he's getting more minutes, so he definitely is. He's on the floor during crunch time. He's picking up
He's a pretty
charges.
clutch player,
Yeah,
man.
he picks up charges. He picks up
Yeah.
steals. Loose
great
ball.
guy.
They
have
have
on
a
your team.
great team. They're going to be super dangerous as they get older.
And now that they don't have Hayward taking up valuable minutes,
Yes.
watch and see this team. That's why I'm saying
Flourish.
Boston in 6. If Hayward is playing, I would probably say Boston in 7.
I would just say I give another game to Toronto, just because I feel like just out of the pure talent on that team,
Yeah.
right? And then they're no scrubs; they're world champions.
No,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
They're defending
So I'll give them
champions.
that extra game. I think it'll go 7, but we're gonna have a new champion this year, and it starts with Boston beating Toronto.
Okay.
So we're going to write it down, keep track of this.
Absolutely. And I want you guys to hold us accountable as well. Put in the comment section if we haven't stayed factual in regards to our predictions thus far.
Yeah, and another thing I just want to say,
Go ahead.
Kyle Lowry, in my opinion, is the most overrated point guard ever. Just wanted to throw that out. I always wanted to say that live.
I was waiting for that.
The guy had like 0
I was
points
waiting
last,
for it.
and gets just so overrated. Like, at least I think so.
And he cries about
You
it
know what I mean?
after every foul.
Yeah.
So, like,
It's like, the guy had like 0 points in last year. Was like,
Yeah, but he's always got such a flabbergasted face. He's always so surprised.
that they
Like,
call a foul. Or,
are
Yeah.
you kidding me? I'm 6 feet tall. I don't get a foul every time I touch the
Yeah, and
basket.
the fact that he's an all-star every year, like, get out of here, man.
I mean, that's more to my point earlier. The Leicester conference. We're phasing that out. We're phasing that out.
LeBron was smack them every year.
LeBron, yeah, the baby Raptors.
Nah.
The baby Raptors.
That team was so over with Drake and all
Oh
those
my
guys.
God.
Remember that?
Dude, when your best player on your team, let's move on. I don't even want to talk about the Spurs woes. They missed the playoffs for the first time. They missed-
Hey, real quick. Popovich, do you see him leaving San Antonio? Go on to Brooklyn.
I
and
hope
coaching that
I
Brooklyn
hope
team.
Greg Popovich
And if he does-
retires because I'm so tired of seeing Gandalf on TV.
Yeah, no.
Greg, I hope you're listening. You are the most overrated coach of all time. You had the pleasure of having David Robinson as your franchise player, and then Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. You had Kawhi, but you ruined that. Why?
Aldridge.
Why'd you ruin that?
What about Aldridge?
LaMarcus Aldridge. I'm sorry, that's
He's
the
playing
sixth
so
player.
much better at Portland.
You deserve you deserve DeMar DeRozan. You single-handedly ran Kawhi Leonard out of town. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I want you to retire.
Nah, I want him to go to Brooklyn.
I want Gandalf to retire. I've
I
had
want
enough
him to go
of
to
him.
Brooklyn and
I've had
coach
enough of
KD.
him. He's our politician. The last couple of
He's
years,
what it is, man. He's a good coach, man. You can't say
he's overrated,
man.
coach.
You know who's overrated? Steve Kerr. That's
Hey,
overrated.
that goes without saying.
Steve
that
Kerr's
goes,
overrated.
That goes without saying.
That's
That goes without
that's
saying.
crazy.
He's a young Gandalf.
That team was ready to explode thanks to Mark Jackson.
Oh, Mark Jackson, phenomenal.
He's a Mark
And a
Jackson.
fantastic,
Yes.
fantastic announcer,
Yes.
commentator.
Nice.
I like
crazy
him.
about his
Mama, there
announcing.
goes that man.
I-
It's a layup. It's an open fast break. No one's back on defense.
Hand down, man down. Don't someone that, bro.
Man Guys, I do wanna talk about Milwaukee and Miami though. Milwaukee and Miami. I'm gonna go ahead and say you guys are gonna hate me for this. I'm gonna say Miami in 7.
Why would I hate you? Miami's my favorite team in the East.
Miami in 7. I'm gonna start off with you, Marv.
Miami in 7. I say Milwaukee in 7 only because, bro, that's gonna be. I feel like we thought that Indiana Miami series is gonna be the one to watch, but Milwaukee versus Miami, that's gonna be a great series.
That's going to be a really good series.
That's gonna be great. I mean, I just think Giannis can pull it off. With the Lopez brothers, they're gonna need help from Middleton, but the way that Jimmy Butler is balling out of your mind, I don't blame you for going for Miami.
I
And I feel they could. I just think Milwaukee will pull it off.
think Miami
Squeezed by
could pull it
a
off.
7, yes.
No,
You
Miami
say,
could pull
you
it
say
off.
7?
I say Milwaukee in 7.
Okay. Gab, what do you think?
I think Miami could pull it off, and I want them to pull it off.
Are you saying 7 or 6?
I'm saying 7.
Okay.
I'm
that's
saying
fair.
7.
That's going to be a crazy,
Might be in
crazy
6
series.
as well, but here's the thing. Like you mentioned, Giannis' surrounding cast, it's not that good.
No, it's not.
It's not that good.
Your number 2 option
You
is
play
Chris
to the Eastern
Middleton.
Conference teams all year. Yeah, I mean, you're a great team. You're a great team. Yeah, but like guys like George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, the Lopez brothers. Middleton is the most inconsistent, overpaid player. You're not gonna. Miami could legit beat Milwaukee.
I want this to
And do
be.
you leave Milwaukee if you're Giannis? If that happens,
If you lose, you leave. Even though they're going to offer you 200 plus
we
million,
talked about this the other day. We might go to
leave.
Miami.
I would
Yeah.
love him to.
Going to go to
Imagine
I
going to
would-
Miami.
That
Oh
would
my
be such a
gosh.
terrifying duo of Jimmy Butler
And
and
Giannis.
Giannis. That would be terrifying. They
And you
would.
got
I think
shooters
it's-
all around you.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I think it's split the ball. I
Hey.
can see them.
Oh.
I can see them.
You
legit
want to
playing
talk
together.
about? You want to talk about LeBron having panic attacks? You want to talk about Paul George retiring to the Bahamas?
getting some real anxiety.
Yes,
after playing that
yes.
team.
No, but I mean,
What an
PG's.
awesome team.
I mean, PG's. Let's be real. If the Clippers don't win this year, PG's gonna probably
PG's
go to a
already
different team.
getting exposed.
Yeah.
Real quick, just touch on the PG thing one last time.
I'm not gonna lie. We love George Paul.
The 2 trades that happened from the one with OKC, who benefited from that? Indiana,
True,
right?
Yeah.
true.
Yes.
The trade with the Clippers, who benefited from that? It's looking like it's going to be the Clippers with all those draft picks. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's no joke.
Oh, he's playing.
They
He's
got
playing very
Gallinari
well.
too. Might not stick around.
I
I'll
mean,
have a decent player.
I don't see. I see
Those
Gallinari's.
draft
I see Gallinari's
picks.
future.
Those
I see.
Draft picks.
No, of course, but I see Gallinari's future being very much like Jay Crowder. He's gonna move around. He's gonna have decent seasons.
Yeah.
He's been on a lot of teams already.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Solid,
and
good player,
Gallinari's not
We've
19.
seen the best of him.
Yeah, he's not 19.
Are
years
seeing the
old.
best of
Yes,
him.
Yeah. He's a somewhat reliable 3. He's a 3. He's not a D. He's just a 3.
He's just a 3.
He's just a 3.
Yeah.
Guys, I do want to talk about something that's very important to all of us. Kobe Bryant would have been 42 on August 23rd of this year. He would have turned 42. Obviously, the viewers at home, obviously, you guys have heard that in January of this year, Kobe Bryant and a group of many other people passed away in a helicopter crash. Our hearts, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families that are affected by this. It was a great travesty. We definitely lost one of the top 10 best players of all time. Not to mention a great father and husband.
Yes.
Guys, I'd like to take this opportunity right now for you guys to tell me your favorite Kobe Bryant memory or something you really liked about the guy.
Well, I'll start with what I really like about Kobe's is competitiveness.
Absolutely.
Just nothing like it. Reminds me of Michael Jordan.
Oh, very similar.
I remember
Very
seeing
similar.
Michael Jordan tail end of his career with the Bulls. I'm not gonna mention the Wizards, but
It's
'98. I'm just like, man, this guy is amazing. Then I was like, Kobe, like, hey, like he has the same mindset. I saw pretty much all of Kobe's career. I love Kobe Bryant. His competitiveness. My favorite memory of Kobe Bryant. Was when he threw that lob up to Shaq.
Over Scottie
Over
Pippen.
Scottie Pippen.
Yes.
I was like 10 years old.
No, that
I'll
was-
never forget that moment. And
that's beautiful.
winning the 5th ring against Boston. I was in Cancun.
Yes.
I remember
I
that.
was
That
so
amazing.
Game
scared.
7.
I was
We were down
sweating.
by like 12 to
Dude, I was sweating when we went into the third quarter and we were still down. And when the Lakers, led by Kobe and Pau Gasol, they hit that they hit that run.
Mm-hmm.
And when that Ron Artest 3 went in, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that we were back in the fight.
Well, I feel like
Mark, what do you
Ron Artest
think?
kept them going, bro.
Yeah.
I have a couple cool points to throw that. Number one, I'm jealous of my sister and her husband. Call you guys out, Marvin and Brenton. They were there at Game 7 against Boston.
Get out of here.
Wow.
They were
Who
there.
hooked up those
They have
tickets?
pictures,
How much
their season
was it?
ticket holders. So
Wow.
there's a picture of them too after when the confetti's going down. Game 7, they have that picture, and it's like every time I go to our house,
for
it's like
life.
I'm jealous, super jealous. Never be able to replicate that moment. My second story with Kobe, his Mamba mentality, bro. I used to read when I was in a super sales job, hard sales job. Always reading Mamba mentality, and it's incredible. Like being the best version of yourself, not just for yourself, but for everybody that's around you, your coworkers, your family, to be the best version of yourself. And his humility, he was at the hotel. My dad was a security at the hotel. Actually, they had like a little event for him after he won the Oscars. He chopped it up with my dad for like 15 minutes just about basketball, being humble. Let my dad hold his Oscar and took a picture with him.
That's
Spanish, right? Because
fantastic,
Kobe
man.
spoke Spanish.
Yeah, Kobe spoke Spanish, but he did everything in English.
In
bro.
English?
It was like humble. Just let my dad hold his Oscar, like the physical Oscar statue that he won
That's awesome.
for Dear Basketball, and took a picture with him. Like that's gonna be
And
one
what
of the
a
nicest
guy.
memories. What a kindness.
There'll never be
that he
another
showed.
Kobe Bryant.
No.
May
Never.
rest
No.
in peace.
May rest in peace. I'm gonna go ahead and say this though. As Jeb knows, Marvin, I'm not sure if you know. I'm not gonna lie. When that Kobe Shaq split happened, I wasn't the biggest Kobe fan, but I was always a Laker fan. But I will say one of my favorite Kobe Bryant moments has to be when they won one game and a reporter decided to ask him, Kobe, why aren't you happy? And he goes, one game, job ain't done. I'm not gonna lie. That just like it kind of smacked me in the face, and I was like, but I like that. The series isn't done.
Yeah, it's not
It's not done.
It's not
And
finished.
that's one thing I loved about him. Kobe didn't care about the series he won. He cared about the championships.
Yes.
It's the
And being-
ultimate goal. He always said it's about the ultimate goal.
Winning rings.
From preseason to training camp to preseason, you know what the goal is.
Yeah.
The goal is to win a championship. He wanted to win
In
so
20
many.
years, the man won 5, went to 7 finals, and that's a huge deal.
And in the West.
In the West.
Let's not forget that, because the LeBron argument is he won all these Eastern Conference championships. Well, did you see the competition in the East compared to the West?
Yeah, LeBron was not playing a Nuggets team. He wasn't playing the Spurs. He wasn't
Portland.
playing.
Now, when he was losing against them.
Yeah,
especially
and
the
that's the
Spurs.
Portland, the Jailblazers, though. We gotta. It's not the Portland with your.
That team
It's not-
was
it's
that
not-
team
not
was
good
great.
team.
No, it definitely was. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for the you guys breaking down the NBA for us. I really appreciate that. Guys, hope you guys enjoyed this take from More or Less. Please make sure you guys stay tuned for more from us. And gentlemen, stay tuned for More or Less.